Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of My First Issue. And today we look at my first issue of Captain America. Yeah, so be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Definitely want you to comment, to help the algorithm. Apparently, that's what that does. But if you're a longtime comic reader, you probably recognize this cover and this issue. Uh, and you're probably going to hate me as we flip through this book. We're going to come across something that I had totally forgot about until I took it out. But anyway, Frank Miller, Bob McLeod cover. Uh, Loved it. Loved the cover. That's why I picked it up. When is this book? 1979? 1979. This book is well worn. I read this book so often. I traced Captain America's. I don't know if you can see it, but I traced Captain America's figure um, on copy paper. So there's like an indent. Yeah, this book is yeah, worn. Um, but when I opened it, I was kind of surprised. I don't know if anyone remembers Mike W. Barr, who wrote it, but I was surprised that Frank Springer did the art. Pablo Marcos inked it. Pablo Marcos, incredible inker. But yeah, this was my first issue of Cap. Didn't really, I don't know. I didn't really. Doesn't that shield look like it's going to hit him right in the back of the head? Take his head right off? Oh God! But of course, then the next panel it hits him in the back. But holy crow! Looks like it's going to take his head right off. Come on, Cap. But yeah, back in the day, I definitely got sucked in by that cover. Um, had no knowledge of the history of the Punisher. You know, um, and this was the first issue of Cap, and I wound up reading Cap um, regularly after picking up this issue. I bought it monthly. The whole John Byrne, and then what Mark Gruenwald took over the writing, and I read it all through up to issue 400, I want to say. Um, but yeah, we got some characterization here in the art. Again, I Frank Springer is a veteran artist, right? He had been around by this time. He was an older gentleman, and his art definitely needed a good inker on it, and Pablo Marcos was that inker for sure. But you could definitely see like the eyes are definitely Frank Springer. The face is definitely Frank Springer. Um, and then here we go. Here we have it. Right. Here's my. I actually cut because I wanted to subscribe to a couple of books. So I cut out the subscription coupon in this book. So yeah, missing a bit on the bottom here. So yeah, you're probably screaming at yourself saying, "No! Do you know what that book goes for now? Why did you cut a comic book?" Back in the day, again, I was just a kid. I just started reading comics. Again, we don't we didn't look at comics. They were collectibles to an extent, but you could still get back issues cheaply. Of course, nowadays everything has changed uh, immensely. So yeah, cutting this coupon out. At least I cut around this balloon here. I don't think it. affected the story that much. I mean, you're missing a caption here, and but at least I kept this thought balloon there. Um, but fear not, people. I wound up years later getting another copy of this same book, so I do have a copy that's complete that you can read the entire story in. But yeah, see what subscriptions did I get? If I remember correctly, I got ROM and Amazing Spider-Man were the two subscriptions that I sent away for. And anybody who subscribed to Marvel books knows that the 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 books came to you just through the mail, wrapped. They had like a brown paper, just a brown paper that was wrapped around the book, and that was it. So if your mailman hated you, or he didn't know what he was doing, or he dropped it in a puddle, yeah, there's a good chance that your books could get ruined. Luckily, both of my subscriptions, ROM and Amazing Spider-Man, actually came pretty decent. I really had no issues. And here we go. Here's the Punisher. And again, back then I had no idea who the Punisher was. I had no idea of his history. I had, he was a gun-toting vigilante. Okay. So I read it. I liked this part where he threw the shield, and the Punisher stops it with his rifle and then steps on the shield and says, "Heh, I got you now." Um, and then of course the Star Wars ad, double page ad too. You don't see that anymore, huh? And the Punisher kills the guy in cold blood. The guy, he's like, we can make a deal, Punisher. Just don't be too hasty." And the guy's like, "Deal? No way!" And yeah, kill the guy in cold blood. And there's his battle van, Ace TV repair. Love it. And there's Rom. But yeah, we see the mafia. I think he was at this time the Punisher was still kind of taking on the mob. Of course, uh, he was like a Mac Bolan um, copy for Marvel. It was Marvel's Mac Bolan. The mob created him, and he was out to just destroy the mob. And of course, Marvel had the Magia as their big mafia type um, group. And now, of course, now I don't even know. They have so many organized crime groups um, that I can't even name them all. But yeah, this is probably not a good idea. Punisher shooting at the shield so close. He's surprising that the bullets didn't bounce back and hit him. He's quite close. So, and why would you just continue shooting at the shield? You know, shoot at his legs, shoot at his head. Take him out, shoot his leg. Don't continue to shoot at the shield, right? Makes sense to me. And then, of course, all the criminals come in. Cap saves Punisher. But yeah, definitely, definitely a strange story to flip through this. And of course, the girl winds up being a federal agent. So the Punisher's like, "Yep, you got me. I'll come with you quietly." Blah blah blah. But he has a, a trick up his sleeve because there's a bomb on the water tower. I mean, Even though Cap warns him, the way he flipped the detonator too deliberate, almost as if he said it to everyone, get back from the tower. But still, how much water is in that tower? I mean, there wasn't that much water in the tower, but still, the explosive, the explosion, the concussion from the explosion, and they were right there. I mean, probably should have killed them all, but in the water. I mean, again, it doesn't look like there was a lot of water in the tower. Luckily, maybe the tower was kind of empty. So, eh, you know, eh, it's comics, I know, but still, like I said, the explosion alone with these guys right here should have killed them. And then the Punisher gets in his battle van. Of course, his battle van is disguised as Ace TV repairs, and of course, down the road they just did away with that, and his battle van was like a battle van. I mean, you could pick it out. If you drove down the street, you could pick it out. But yeah, I mean, this was my first issue of Captain America. This was my first taste of the Punisher. Of course, it was what this is 1979, so the Punisher wouldn't get his first miniseries. When was that? 84. So it was like another 5 years before the Punisher actually got his own miniseries. That was a great miniseries too. Maybe we'll flip through that one. But yeah, um, sorry for the coupon cutout shock value that we put in this. But again, as I said, um, I do have another issue of this book. It's complete, so that if I ever do want to read it, I can read it. And this was my first issue of Captain America. Thank you for tuning in and flipping through the book with me and uh, reliving, reliving it and seeing this great. I never noticed this before. These boots aren't form fitting. Usually they have the boots that are form fitting. These boots aren't. They have a wider cuff there. So it's nice. That's more realistic. I like that. Like the skull logo. Yeah, Frank Miller did a great job on that cover. Anyway, I'm digressing again and wasting time. Thank you very much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, comment, and as always, we'll see you in the funny pages.